Hello everybody, this is Sylmaievnas. I recently watched an old movie called Triangle. After that, I read quite a few reviews on this movie, including the ones from Domain China and the ones from IMDb. I do this because I've been absolutely attracted by the excitement and joy of trying to figure out the logic of the world in this movie. I have to say that I actually find a few insightful explanations made by other movie fans, but I'm afraid none of them is fully satisfying for me. So I decided to make this video and do my own explanation. My video will include 3 parts. First, I will quickly go through the story that every audience can see in this movie. Then, I'll explain how the world in Triangle formed and what happened in the real world of the movie. And at last, I'll explain how the logic in Triangle functions and how Jess's roof moves on. I strongly recommend you watching the movie Triangle again before watching the rest parts of my video. Trust me, you'll find much more joy by doing that. Alright, now let's start the journey. Part 1. The story narrated in Triangle. Jess, a single mother, sets to sail on a yacht with a group of friends. We may call it Group 1. They are struck by a storm and end up in a ship called Airless. Jess finds her keys tossed on the floor. A masked killer begins to kill Jess's friends. Jess forces the masked killer into the sea. Then Jess meets the second group. Jess loses her keys. Jess accidentally hurts Group 2 Victor. Jess points her gun at Group 2 Jess. Jess shoots the masked killer. The masked killer turns out to be another Jess, and she kills Group 2 Donnie. Group 2 Sally makes rescue call and dies in a pile of her dead bodies. Jess watches Group 2 Jess killing unmasked Jess. After that, Jess sees Group 3. Jess removes Group 2 Greg's and Donnie's bodies. Jess puts on the mask. Jess kills Group 3 Greg. Jess is forced to jump into the sea by Group 3 Jess. Jess wakes up on the beach. Jess watches Sundress Jess and Tommy. Jess kills Sundress Jess. Jess suffers from a car accident, and Tommy is killed. Jess goes for sailing again. Part 2. What happened in the real world of Triangle? The whole story in the movie is an afterlife world of Jess. She died and the death wants to take her away. Jess cheated the death, and the death created the world of Triangle to punish her. The ancient Greek story of Sisyphus told on the ship is the biggest hint that Jess has done something deserved to be punished, just like Sisyphus, doing something again and again in the doomed afterlife world. So what exactly did Jess do that makes her deserve such a severe punishment? Well, on the day in the real world of Triangle, Jess killed her son at 8:17 a.m. before she went to the harbor. When Jess and her friends were at sea, they came across a storm at 11:30 a.m. and everyone was killed except Heather. How can I see that? Well, we can see that Jess's watch stops at 8:17 a.m. I say that is a time when Jess is doomed. Let's review the bullying part. Did you notice the clock on the wall? It was at 7:15 a.m. when Jess lost her temper and began to beat Tommy. And Tommy was dead at 8:17 a.m. You may ask why Jess is not killed in the car accident. It indeed looks as if Jess was killed in the car accident, but as a matter of fact, she's not. Now let's review the part of the car accident. Okay, you may say that the dead Jess is killed by accident, and the living Jess is her soul, but that is not true. we can see that the dead Jess is wearing a sundress, which is dirtied by the paint, and the living Jess is wearing a short, which are different clothes. So first, it can't be explained why the soul is wearing different clothes with the dead body. And second, it is impossible that Jess would go to meet her friends with a dirty dress. And the movie has made it quite clear that the sundress Jess is killed in Jess's house and put into the black bag, and in a car accident. The movie shows again that the sundress Jess comes out of the black bag. So the car accident doesn't happen in the real world of Triangle. It only happens in the doomed afterlife world of Jess. The car accident only kills Tommy, which is part of Jess's punishment. And why Greg's watch stops at 11:30?
Greg, what time you got? About 11:30.
Because they were killed in the storm at 11:30. Why is that? Now let's review the storm part. We can see that when Heather is washed away into the sea, the screen gets oversaturated. Let's compare this part and the car accident part. Both screens get oversaturated. What does that mean? It means that in both the two incidents, someone is killed. So given the fact that all the other friends are in the afterlife world of Jess, suffering from the masked killer, and Heather doesn't get involved, we can tell that she survived in the storm in the real world of Triangle, and all her other friends were killed in the storm. Now about the driver. The driver is the Jess. He comes to bring Jess to another world.
Can I give you a ride?
He even tells Jess that he will leave the meter on, and Jess promises to come back.
We'll leave the meter running. You will come back, won't you?
Yes, I promise.
This is just the modern version of the promise made by Sisyphus to the dead.
Shitty punishment. What'd he do?
He cheated death. Or no, he made a promise to death that he didn't keep.
The driver comes to Jess not because Jess is killed by car accident, but because he comes to remind Jess that if she accepts the fact that she has killed her son and she has died, she can walk away with him. But as we can tell from the movie, Jess never quits her loop. She always wants to go back to the ship in order to come back home to see her son.
Take me to the harbor.
Part 3. How Jess's loop moves on. At last we come to the most exciting part. Let me first introduce one whole circle for Jess. Well, in fact, that is not a circle, because the loop is moving on and there is no refreshing point. Okay, there are 7 stages for one whole circle. Stage 1. Jess wakes up on the yacht with a broken memory.
This terrible dream.
Jess goes on to the ship Aeolus with a broken memory.
I feel like I know this place.
This Jess is the heroine of the movie, which is our Jess. She is also the Group 1 Jess. And then, after pushing the masked killer into the sea, it comes to Stage 2. Our Jess meets Group 2. After our Jess watches Group 2 Jess kills unmasked killer Jess, it comes to Stage 3. Our Jess meets Group 3. When our Jess is pushed into the sea by Group 3 Jess, it comes to Stage 4. Our Jess wakes up on the beach and runs home. Then our Jess experiences the car accident and goes for sailing again. But this time, our Jess has a full memory, and she goes onto the ship with her full memory. Now it comes to Stage 5. Our Jess pretends to be unaware of what's happening because she doesn't know which Jess she should play as until she is pointed by a gun by another Jess. Now our Jess knows that she is the pointed Jess, which is the one in Group 2. She knows what to do. She kills the unmasked Jess and lets Group 1 Jess watch it. When Group 3 Jess comes, it is Stage 6. Our Jess. injures Group 3 Victor and let Group 3 Jess push Group 1 Jess into the sea. Then comes a new group. We call it Group 4, and this is Stage 7. Group 3 Jess will point her gun at Group 4 Jess. Our Jess gets her mask and gets wounded by Group 3 Jess. Our Jess will get unmasked and get killed by Group 4 Jess. After our Jess is really killed, her memory is broken, and she will wake up in the yacht again with a broken memory, and Jess's loop moves on. As we can see from the movie, our director only shoots the first 4 stages, leaving the rest apart for us to imagine. Now, the key point to work out Jess's loop is Group 2 Jess. Let's reveal what happens to each member of the Group 2. After the Group 2 divide, Group 2 Victor gets injured and stays in the hole. Group 2 Jess runs away. Then Group 2 Greg is killed in the theater. After Group 1 Jess shoots the masked killer, the Group 2 Downey and Sally are busy dealing with this masked killer, which is also the unmasked Jess. At the same time, Group 1 Jess goes back to the hall only to find the injured Group 2 Victor is killed by someone and pushed into the sea. So, who is the someone? Just think about who are on the ship. Everybody is busy except the missing Group 2 Jess. It can only be the Group 2 Jess that kills the injured Group 2 Victor. And the only way to explain why the Group 2 Jess kills her teammate is that she actually knows how the loop functions, and she is trying to protect the loop from being disturbed. She knows that Victor needs to be killed. All of these are telling that this is not her first time to board the ship. Understanding this point is very important. By this point, I mean that Group 2 Jess boards the ship with her full memory. Bearing this in mind, you will understand why Group 2 Jess disappears again when Group 3 boards the ship. And you will understand where the injured, unmasked Jess comes from. Now let me show you the timeline of Jess's loop. Our Jess experiences 7 stages in one loop. As I said, stage 4 is when Jess is on the land, so we ignore it in order to make the analysis easier. At the end of stage 1, our Jess forces the masked killer Jess into the sea. The masked killer Jess is the one who warns our Jess before jumping into the sea, which is in stage 3. Then our Jess comes into stage 2. She watches the pointed Jess, who is in stage 5, kill the unmasked killer Jess, who is in stage 7. After that, our Jess goes into stage 3. She becomes the masked killer Jess and is forced into the sea by a new stage 1 Jess. Then our Jess wakes up on the beach and boards the ship with her full memory. That is to say, the one in stage 5. Our Jess is pointed by a gun and kills the unmasked killer Jess, while being watched by stage 2 Jess. When a new group comes, our Jess hides and lets the new Jess force masked killer Jess into the sea. At stage 7, our Jess becomes the unmasked killer Jess and is killed by the newly bored pointed Jess while being watched by the new stage 2 Jess. At last, our Jess's memory breaks and starts a new loop. Now we come to our conclusions. There are always 3 Jess on the ship that fall in 3 different stages, and there are only 2 types of Jess to board the ship. The type of Jess that boards the ship for the first time with a broken memory, and the type of Jess that boards the ship for the second time with a full memory. The part of the loop that this movie shows falls here. I believe that with this picture, you can now easily work out the various details of the loop. For example, how does Jess's key move in the loop? Who is it that deals with the dead bodies before the group 2 board? Which group get the rescue call and which group does not, to name but a few. And then you can try to work out how the picture should look like if we consider the length of time that Jess spends on the land. Thank you for watching my video. I hope this explanation can help you better understand the logic in triangle.
I'm sorry, but I love my son.